All right, so now we're going to go through creating straw tags with Microsoft Word. I do have a few other videos. My first two videos were how to create printables and tags with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. And you should definitely listen to one, if not both of these, as they go through very basic things such as installing new fonts, working with grid lines and rulers, as well as working with basic text box images and shapes. Next, we have how to make cupcake toppers with Microsoft Word. And here we talk about shape layering as well as pattern and texture fill. Then we have working with images and when making printables. And here we talk about the differences between the PNG and the GIF and the JPEG formats. It's a pretty good video to watch if you're not very familiar with the different file extensions of the images. And clearly now we're going to be showing you how to make straw tags. So here are some straw tags that I made for a wedding shower, which I thought were pretty cute. And in order to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to insert a table. Okay. When we insert a table, we're going to make it 2 across, and let's just make it 4 down. Clearly, you can fit more. And if you were actually making straw tags rather than just a demonstration, you would want to make them fill the entire page. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is change the width and the sizing. So we're going to highlight the table, right-click, and click on Table Properties. When we click on Table Properties, we're going to go into our row and specify a height. And a good height for the straw tags that I found is 0.08, and a good width is 0.27. Clearly, you can play with these depending on what you want to do and how you want to cut them out. Okay. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and create this space in between these tags. And the reason why we want to do that is we want to make it much easier for us to cut the tags. So what we're going to do here is right-click once again and click on Table Properties. We're going to click on the Table tab, click on Options, and allow spacing between cells. We're going to make that a 0.03. Okay, now we can see that we have that spacing in between the cells. The next thing we're going to want to do while we still have this Table Properties up is click on Borders and Shading. What I now want to do is make the border a very, very light gray, because I don't necessarily want a pretty border for this straw tag in particular. Clearly, if you wanted to do something decorative, you absolutely could, but for the purposes of these, it didn't make a lot of sense. So we're just going to do a custom, and the color is going to be a very, very light gray. And again, we're just going to be using it as sort of a guideline. Now, again, you notice that I had custom selected. Let's make that up 0.1. Because I have custom selected, over on this side is where I can actually customize to show where I want these lines. Okay. Because this is a straw tag, I'm not going to want a gray line along here. So I am going to click on there to remove it. Okay. And clearly, I want tags to here, so I can click in there in order to have the gray borders between the two tags. So now I don't have any border in the middle, and I have them between all of the tags. So now if I click OK, I can see I have the outline of my straw tags. Okay. From here, the very next thing I want to do is highlight these 2 cells, and I am going to click on Table Properties, and I'm going to click on Borders and Shading. From here, I'm going to click on Shading, and I want to fill with this light gray. Now, I want to point out that you need to apply this to the cell. If all of your straw tags were going to look the same, then you could apply that to the table, and it would do it once, and you would be done. But again, we're going to have one hot pink, one gray, so we want to apply it to the cell. Okay. You could also put styles and backgrounds and patterns and things like that, but we're just going to do that gray background. Okay. Now, we're just going to go through and actually write the text. So let's go ahead and click in here and type in love. We're going to highlight this and make this white. And I used Bows and Boots, and I made this a 36-point font. And the L was actually a Baroque script. And again, in the very first video is where I talk about installing new fonts. Now, if you notice here, when I wrote the love, it made the cell a lot bigger, and that's because of our line spacing. Microsoft likes to default the line spacing, so what we need to do is click on that little box up there and click Line Spacing Options, and we want 0 spacing after the text, because if you see, that's where all of that was, the extra spacing was, and we want to make this single. And now we can see that's back to where it is. So now the love is justified on this side. What we want to do is highlight this, right-click, click on Cell Alignment. Now, if I clicked here, this would be in the middle, but aligned to the top of the cell. If I clicked here, it would be in the middle, aligned to the bottom of the cell. What I want to do is align this to the right in the center. Okay. Now, all we have to do is insert a shape, and let's insert our heart. Okay. And we're going to do a shape fill with texture. And again, I showed this in the video of creating Cupcake Toppers. So if you do have any questions or you're a little lost at this part, go ahead and watch that, and it'll talk all about texture and pattern fills. And let's do a shape outline of white. Okay. Now, all we have to do is copy this cell, paste, and copy this by hitting a Control-C and a Control-V, or you could right-click and do copy and paste. And once again, we need to change our line spacing options to 0 and single. Okay, now we have our love. Next thing we need to do is click on our second cell. Click on Table Properties, click on Cell. I'm so sorry, click on Borders and Shading. And we want to go ahead and do more colors. And I believe it was this color. And again, we could click on custom colors if we want something a little lighter, a little darker. And we want to apply that to the cell. Okay. And we just want to type in I do. And once again, we want to highlight the text. We want to make this Mom's Typewriter, and I love that font. And let's go ahead and make that a 36. Once again, we need to change the line spacing options to 0 and single. And once again, we want to right-click and do a cell alignments to the right and centered. Okay. Once again, we want to copy and paste and realign. Okay. Now, what we have to do is let's go ahead and do these next 2 cells. Let's do a Table Properties. Let's do a Borders and Shading, and let's go ahead and click on that gray. And let's once again do Table Properties, Borders and Shading, and let's do that pink. Okay. Now all we have to do is highlight those cells, right-click, say Copy, click into these 2 cells, highlight, right-click, paste cells. Okay. Same thing for here, copy and paste cells. Now you see I did this border. All I did for there was I inserted, and I'm sorry, you have to click in the cell, but you want to insert a shape, and I went ahead and inserted a rectangle. And if you have any questions about this, watch my Cupcake Toppers video. It has a lot of information on how to work with shapes. Okay, we want to go ahead and do a no fill, and we want to do a shape outline of dashes, and we want to make this a 2-point. Okay, now if this is, for some reason, sometimes, especially when you're working with a table, the text will come out a little wonky. If that is the case, then you will need to insert a text box, draw a text box, and then just go ahead and write I do, and that will solve your problem right there. And we can just go ahead and copy, Control-C, Control-V for paste, and do a format, no fill, no outline. And again, I talk about that quite a bit in all of my videos, so you should know how to do that. And that's it. That's how you create some straw tags. I do have some websites. I have a baby shower website that have a number of printables as well as links to all of my videos. I also have a new fun blog that I've created, which has a number of printables as well as a number of fun arts and crafts and holiday decorating ideas. that I do as well. So please feel free to check those out as well. Thanks so much, and if you found this useful, please like this on YouTube.